Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever had a boss so clueless you wondered how they even managed to tie their own shoelaces in the morning? We've all been there, right? Staring blankly in a meeting, thinking, did they really just say that? Well, today we're taking a deep dive into the Hall of Fame, or maybe the Hall of Shame, for leadership. We're going to explore some of the most spectacular, face-palm-worthy leadership blunders in history. These are the stories that prove even the most powerful people can make the most hilarious mistakes. So grab your popcorn, because we're going from hero to zero in the most entertaining way possible. Let's start with a classic corporate fumble. Picture this. It's the early 2000s. A little company called Netflix, then a DVD by mail service, approaches the giant of home entertainment, Blockbuster. Netflix's co-founder, Reed Hastings, offers Blockbuster a partnership. He even suggests Blockbuster buy Netflix for a mere $50 million. The CEO of Blockbuster, John Antioco, practically laughed them out of the room. He saw Netflix as a tiny, niche business that posed no threat. Well, we all know how that story ended. Blockbuster went bankrupt, and Netflix is now a global streaming behemoth worth billions. It's a legendary tale of underestimating the little guy, a mistake so big it basically became a verb. You don't want to pull a blockbuster in your career. It's a powerful lesson in seeing the future, or in this case, completely missing it. Now, let's travel back in time for a royal blunder. Meet Xerxes, the king of Persia, around 480 BC. He was a man with a colossal army and an even more colossal ego. He built a massive bridge of boats across a strait called the Hellespont to invade Greece. But a storm rolled in and destroyed his magnificent bridge. A normal leader might have regrouped, maybe consulted his engineers. But not Xerxes. He was so enraged that he ordered his men to whip the sea itself. Yes, literally whip the water 300 times as punishment. He also had shackles thrown into the waves to bind the sea. As you can imagine, the sea was not very impressed. This act of pure, unfiltered rage didn't just look ridiculous. It demoralized his own troops, who probably thought their king had lost his mind. Spoiler alert. His invasion of Greece ultimately failed. It is a perfect example of how letting your ego and anger make decisions is a terrible leadership strategy. You can't command the forces of nature, no matter how many titles you have. Speaking of egos, let's talk about the tech world. In 1995, Microsoft was at the top of its game, launching Windows 95. To promote it, they decided to feature the new Rolling Stones song Start Me Up in their commercials. It was a huge, expensive campaign. There was just one tiny, hilarious problem: the lyrics. If you listen closely, the song ends with the line, "You make a grown man cry." Not exactly the confident, powerful message you want for your groundbreaking new operating system, is it? It was a classic case of not thinking through the details. They spent millions on a song that, lyrically, suggested their product would lead to frustration and tears. While Windows 95 was a commercial success, that advertising choice remains a funny little footnote in tech history, reminding us that sometimes the devil really is in the details. Let's jump over to the world of publishing. In the early 1990s, a manuscript for a children's book about a young wizard was sent to 12 different publishing houses. Every single one of them rejected it. They thought it was too long, too complex, and that no kid would want to read about a school for wizards. Finally, a small publisher, Bloomsbury in the UK, took a chance. The chairman gave the first chapter to his 8-year-old daughter, and she demanded to read the rest. That manuscript was, of course, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. The 12 publishers who passed on J.K. Rowling missed out on the best-selling book series in history, a multi-billion-dollar franchise. It's a staggering misjudgment, proving that sometimes the experts have no idea what the public actually wants. It's a failure of imagination, a lesson for any leader to listen to new ideas, even if they seem unconventional. Now for a blunder that's literally out of this world. In 1999, NASA lost its $125 million Mars Climate Orbiter. The spacecraft was supposed to orbit Mars and study its climate. But when it reached the red planet, it got too close, burned up, and disintegrated in the atmosphere. Why? An investigation revealed one of the most embarrassing mistakes in the history of space exploration. One engineering team at Lockheed Martin used English units of measurement, pounds and feet, while the NASA team at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory used the metric system, newtons and meters. They were literally speaking two different mathematical languages, and nobody caught it. The result was a catastrophic navigation error. It's a billion-dollar lesson in the importance of clear communication and double-checking your work. Even rocket scientists can mess up a simple unit conversion. Let's talk about a more modern example from the world of social media. In 2017, the CEO of a major airline found himself in a PR nightmare. A video went viral showing a passenger being forcibly removed from an overbooked flight. It was a terrible look. The CEO's initial response, however, made things infinitely worse. In an internal memo, he defended his employees and described the passenger as disruptive and belligerent. This response was leaked, and the public outcry was immense. He completely failed to read the room. Instead of showing empathy and taking responsibility, he doubled down, sounding cold and corporate. His company's stock plummeted, and he was eventually forced to issue a much more sincere public apology. It's a masterclass in how not to handle a crisis. As a leader, your first instinct should be empathy, not blame. Your first statement sets the tone for everything that follows. Here's another corporate cautionary tale. In the 1980s, Coca-Cola was feeling the heat from its rival, Pepsi. So, in 1985, they made a monumental decision. They would change their nearly 100-year-old secret formula. They launched New Coke with a massive marketing blitz, convinced it would be a huge hit. The public reaction? Absolute fury. People hated it. There were protests, boycott hotlines, and people hoarding cases of the original Coke. The company was flooded with angry calls and letters. Within just 79 days, they were forced to admit defeat and bring back the original formula, rebranded as Coca-Cola Classic. This blunder taught them a valuable lesson. Don't mess with a classic. It also showed the immense power of brand loyalty and emotional connection. The leadership ran off track, thinking it was all about taste, but they failed to understand they were changing a piece of American culture. What can we learn from all these epic fails? Well, for one, humility is a leader's best friend. Whether you're a Persian king or a tech CEO, thinking you're infallible is a surefire way to end up as a cautionary tale. Second, communication is everything. Whether it's between engineering teams at NASA or between a CEO and the public, a failure to communicate clearly and empathetically can be catastrophic. And finally, never be afraid to admit when you're wrong. The leaders who recover from their blunders are the ones who can swallow their pride, apologize, and change course. Coca-Cola, for example, turned their New Coke disaster into a huge marketing win by bringing back the classic. They listened to their customers and gave them what they wanted. These stories are hilarious, yes, but they're also packed with wisdom. They remind us that leaders are human, and humans make mistakes. The key is to learn from them, laugh at them, and hopefully not repeat them on such a grand scale. We all have. Woman that whip the sea moments, just maybe on a slightly smaller scale. So, what's the most hilarious leadership blunder you've ever witnessed? Drop a comment below and share your story. We'd love to hear them. And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. We've got plenty more stories to share. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.